coach, Mr. Wes Salzberger. How you doing, Wes?
Jasper, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. Let's get
Oh man,
wound up for racing. Looks like these guys are going to go out of the gate like it always does. They're sitting there ready to go. I'm sure they've got that up to 300 watts or so just ready for that pounce off the line.
that cyclocross start. Every time you watch a cyclocross race, they race for that first corner, and it's exactly that same aspect right here in KISS Racing live on Zwift. So we're watching the Western eCrit today. The big names are Ben Simpson, Richard Cook, Richard Gills, Rupert Walsh, and Steve Yates. These are the big names to keep an eye out for as they take on the 7 laps of the Volcano counterclockwise crit circuit. And here we go. We're underway, Wes.
Ben Simpson, I reckon he'll be up for a little bit of an improvement on last week. We have also Richard Cook up there, his teammate. They're very close on the points there now, so it's just 1 point the difference there. So it'll be interesting to see who edges each other out there with that rivalry inside the team there.
I spoke to Ben Simpson actually after last week's race, catching up and seeing what's happening with the Aussie Hump Day Ride team, because she mentioned they are both on the same team now, as they're actually both in P1 and P2 at the front. And Ben Simpson confirmed that they are recent acquisitions of the Aussie Hump Day Ride team, but they still have a gentleman's agreement. They're not working together for this race. They are two separate entities flying under the same banner just to keep everything fair for the other riders. So for me, I think it might be a foolish move, but I respect it, Wes. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, they could come together and maybe, it will come down to it. If someone does start to get up on points, they may have to have that little bit of a chat and say, look, we need to start working together a little more. So it'd be interesting to see if someone starts to creep up that ladder and start taking those points, whether they actually come together and use their heads a little bit there.
It's gonna be tight though now at the top. So with the proposed rule changes that are yet to be confirmed, that 7 riders from the East and 2 riders from the West will make it to the live finale, meaning the top 2 scores right now, which is Cook and Ben Simpson. That's going to mean there's going to be a lot of competition for those top spots now. And these Western riders, they're going to start digging hard at it as the winter starts to slowly fall upon down in Australia. I mean, you know this better than anyone, Wes. The winter is approaching down under. Riders are starting to get sick. Now is the time to jump on and start scoring points. What's the weather like, Wes? Give me a weather update.
Actually, I'm down here in Tasmania, so usually we have pretty brutal weather. But to be honest, the weather has been really nice. We've been pretty spoiled. Very cold mornings, foggy mornings. That freezing cold outlook. But then the sun comes through and burns it off. And we've had some really cracker days. Today was really sunny and beautiful. It looks like it's pretty sunny and beautiful out there on course too. Everyone's up at that front end there. Everyone's trying to keep jostling for position early on too. So everyone's really getting up. Jono Bates is up there too, my man. Yeah, we looked him up last week, so he's in there having another race. So good to see Jono back.
A bit of a pat on the back on Wesley Salzberger. Last week, he was so into this that he went through and checked through pretty much everybody from top to the bottom. And I said, Wesley, you're doing way too much work. And then suddenly, Jono Bates, who is currently bottom 5 right now, and Wes was just spot on with information about Jono. So Jono, right out on a course, and Wesley, right on right here in the commentating booth. That is dedication to the cause as Ben Simpson is taking to the front.
Jono picked up. He's picked up to 11th spot now after last week as well.
Well done. That deserves a right on out on course. That is good job, Jono Bates. Well done for making up the ground. He's riding in that Zwift vintage kit as well. One of the better looking kits out there, if I do say so myself. And 6 watts per kilo off the front now. Jono Bates getting into the action on the front. Maybe hearing a bit of a name calling out.
Yeah, he's heard that call out. Hopefully he's tuned in because, Jono's putting a little bit of a dig in here. I think he might be testing the water to see if anyone wants to go on with any moves early on.
We'll see who's going to be the first one to put the pedal to the metal here. So I'm trying to pick up that Aussie lingo, this was a phrase sent in by Bud Madsen, I believe it is. And if you want to help out a Dane in need, a Dane in distress, please do send me in some Aussie lingo that I can use in the broadcast to make the whole experience more fun for me and for you as well. Last week I picked up, was it seagulls picking at, oh, what was it, Wes? I forgot it. At the fries or something like that? Oh.
Yeah, like seagulls going for chips.
Yeah, chips, that's what it was. I'll definitely never forget that again. Thank you, Wes.
Yeah. You're right, mate. No worries. Like, and at the end there, last eCrit, I was saying it was a bit of a lolly scramble. So, at a kid's party, you throw the lollies out, and everyone goes everywhere to try and grab the lollies. That's what we had last week. Everyone was going everywhere.
Oh God, it is. It's gonna be a good broadcast tonight if you're tuning in from the western region of Australia, right here on Zwift Community Live, watching the racers race out on course. The pack is already thinned down to about 5 or 6 Australians in this front group, but this has been the theme so far of the Western eCrit. It's a condensed group of strong riders consisting of Ben Simpson, Cook, Gills, Walsh, Yates, and John O'Bates in there in this front group, and they're really strong, but they seem to be struggling a bit to keeping it all together as a rider from China goes off the front.
Yeah, and we've also got Mikey H in there as well, and Anthony West sitting in fourth and fifth position overall. Then we've got Rupert Walsh back after that at 56 points in seventh position. Steve Yates is also in there, so it'd be interesting to see whether one of those guys that in that lower position there, where they want to start to sneak up tonight and really enforce that little bit of a jump up there and increase those points to come back into that striking range. So we've got a fair jump. So back on Ben Simpson 113, Richard Cook 112, and then it drops off to Gills at 89, and then after that it drops down to the 50 to 60 range. So those guys will be looking to pick up some points to sort of put them back in contention of the running of this event.
So it's never too late to get on there, though. So with the proposed rule changes happening right now, it's going to favor those that are stronger over short periods of time compared to the previous rules, which were all 16 races. And in that days, it was more about how consistent you could be, how often you could race, not how strong you are. But keep an eye on that. All you need to know is just keep racing right now out on course. I had a chat with some of the stronger guys, some of the leaders prior to tonight's race, just to check in, see how they're doing. And Rupert Walsh, who won last week in quite superior fashion with several bike lengths down to second place, said, "You know what, Jesper, I could be feeling better today. The legs are a bit shot. We'll see how I get on, but I'll only really know once we're halfway through the race." So what would you say about that preparation, coach? Day before, you do a tough workout?
Yeah, he's probably not going to give the commentator too much insight and knowledge there. So, yeah, he could be playing his cards down there, playing his cards close to his chest, talking it down a little bit. Doesn't want the full pressure of it, but I'm sure Rupert Walsh will give it a good crack. We joked a little bit earlier about him. You said that he was leading a race in a way and then actually pulled out of the race. Did you find out what happened there, Jasper, with that?
No, I did not. That was the question to ask. Thank you for supporting my journalistic abilities right there, Wes. That was the question. That was the right question to fire his way. So in the fifth race of the Western eCrit series on the London course, Rupert Walsh had a minute gap on Ben Simpson and Richard Gills with 1 lap to go. But with 1 lap to go, he just pulled off the bike. He just stopped, and suddenly he was gone. And then Ben Simpson went on to win that stage. So who knows? Who knows, Wes? No, we've lost Wes again. There's no way audio caught out. No way. We've lost so just like the Eastern race, we've lost audio again with Wes, and this is not on Wes. This is on us. So give me a second to try and fix this, to try and get Wes back. There are a few possibilities I could think of on the fly, but we could stop the broadcast and start it again, but I fear that might actually stop the overall broadcast. So, Wes, I'm sorry, we can see Wes right now on the screen. Try and say something, Wes. Nope, it's not coming through. See, the audio is not coming through either. Let me do some on-the-fly work right now. This should work. They can still see you, Wes, but they cannot hear you as we're going through all the motions to try and get Wes through the audio. There's one thing I can do, but if I stop streaming, I do believe it'll stop overall, which is just quite dangerous. Let me get confirmation right there. Just 1 second, as the racing is still on, 6 kilometers in. You can still see Wes on the screen. I am just going to talk to the backlog and see if we can get Wes back on. Give me 1 second. So we got Wes all the way from Tasmania, but it looks like the effort being put out here on the course has silenced him up. He's simply speechless as the riders have put out solid efforts all around. And there is chatting right now with tech support, guys. I'm on the phone with the Mavic neutral service, and they're trying to give me a spare wheel right now, as we are in dire needs of one. But as the team cars already passed, the neutral service can be slow sometimes, and sometimes the wheels won't fit, as or even the bike if we go back to Chris Froome. Okay, just checking in. We've got the front group still all very much together, 10 kilometers in. Should give you the ability to turn on the audio, but the audio is on for this input. So, and I didn't click anything. Always a pleasure to cast the West eCrit. Always something happening. Making fun of Rupert Walsh and his mechanical with 1 lap to go. This is what's happening to us. So Rupert Walsh actually in the shot right now. God. This silence, Wes. I can see you. Everyone can see you. Let's get Wes off the main. Since nobody can hear him, let's just switch to this camera, and Wes is now no longer on the shot as we're trying to fix it. We're gonna restart vMix. Others will come back. If the broadcast does not come back on Facebook, head over to Twitch at Zwift Community Live, or head over to YouTube at Zwift Community Live. We will get Wes back, but give us just 3. Yeah. I'm going live. We're going live again.
Yep.
We got Wes back. So, but if Facebook is down, you can't really hear me. But head over to Twitch at Zwift Community Live or YouTube at Zwift Community Live. The feeds will be live there. But Mavic neutral service came through, Wes, and we're back.
I got that spare wheel. I'm back in the Pello now. I'm going to sit on my man Rupert Walsh and sit up on his wheel. He was your man last week, but I'm going for him this week.
He's stealing the pick before I can even get to it. Proper. It looks like Wes has already learned the ways of how to be on camera. Well done, sir.
Front foot.
Looks like out on course. Now we just got to catch up with all the action that was happening. It looks like it's still very much all together. I'm just going forward. So, yes, it is still all very much together in the front group. 10 kilometers in. Hickey on the lead. Walsh behind. Bates, Hoskin, Cook, Kiss, Curry. Where is Ben Simpson? He's at the front, of course. Always at the front.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to use that downhill run up here. So I wonder, Jono, if you're listening now, use that downhill bit here where it starts to jostle up. Use that downhill so it's a little bit less on the legs here. Get back into that position. Move up towards that front sort of 8 to 10 guys. That'll save your legs when they start to lay it down. That little bit of a sort of that stop starting starts to a little bit elastic in the legs, and it starts to hurt after a while. So keeping that position.
How did that happen again? Something happened and it just cut out again. Nothing was touched. We'll be right back, guys.
The other thing
we're back. Back online.
Okay. Oh.
I don't
All
know
right.
what's making that happen, Wes. It's so weird.
Yeah. Maybe I've picked up a tack in the tire there, and it sort of just I keep getting that same tack just push through and puncture the connection there. So hopefully we can stay in there now. We can avoid those tacks out there.
It's something that we'll definitely look into fixing for next week. So I'm sorry if you're listening from the West eCrit. Racing is underway. They raced for 15 minutes. We've got West back on. That's the most important part. And we got the group still all together. Asiano is another man who's been making a name of himself. He is like the Damien Hassan of the Western eCrit. Always near the front, but always the bridesmaids. Never the bride nor the groom. So we'll see what's going to happen now. Asiano, 9 watts per kilo, making his way back up to the front. How do you see the West eCrit playing out today, Wes?
It'll be interesting how you said that Simpson and Cook aren't working together there. So be interesting to see how that plays out against the other Australians in there. Whether the other Australians, now that we've made that aware of that, whether they try and sort of isolate and use that little bit of power of knowledge that they're not actually working together, to see how that pans out now.
It definitely will. I mean, we saw in the Eastern eCrit what the numbers can actually mean for a breakaway for the group. So if Ben Simpson and Cook could I mean, at the end of the day, they're always going to be looking out for each other. Gentlemen's agreement or not, they're always going to be looking out for each other. So we're going to see how that pans out now, as we're bound to see an attack at some point from Ciano, at some point from Cook, at some point from Robert Walsh. They are not content with a sprint. They're going to give it everything at some point in the race. So we're 12 kilometers into the race, all still together. The pace is relatively high, yet nobody's really dictating anything just yet. There's still a bit of anarchy going around in this front pack in the Western eCrit.
So Ciano he's been up there, and you're picking him to win, is that right?
It's a touchy case. I would like to see, because I backed Damien Hassan in the Eastern eCrit, and Ciano plays very much the same role, but I don't think today is the day he's gonna be in that top spot, unfortunately. I am looking further down, and we're gonna reverse the roles. Ben Simpson said he was feeling good prior to the race, man. Ben Simpson has got to go with it today.
Yeah, and what about John O'Bates? He could be a little bit of a dark horse. He's being up the front there. He's probably going to go on the attack soon. Oh, here we go. We see some featherweights being used here. Who's going off the front here now?
It's your main man, Robert Walsh, with
Oh,
Mr. Hickey off the
Here we
front.
go. Rupert Dupe's going. He's putting the hard yards in here. He's got a bit of a gap. It'll be interesting to see whether Hickey goes over the top. He does go over the top. He's going to give him a good pull. This is going to be interesting now. Got a couple more coming across.
We get aero powers popped all around as they are actually bridged back by the Chinese rider. And but a few riders are off the back right now. Ben Simpson looks to be one of the guys in trouble, 3 seconds back now, as Cook has come over the top and is now making turns as he's putting down the hammer. Funny enough, he's riding a Cyclops hammer, by the way, as we saw over in the Zwift Ospace. So we got Richard Cook, Robert Walsh, and John O'Bates in the attack.
Here we go. John O'Bates, he's really stepped it up. So I'm glad this commentating is really making him lift his game. So that's awesome to see John O'Bates up there.
We're on the back now with Ben Simpson, who bridged his way back to the front group. Only casualty of that attack was Hoshkin, who is now 10 seconds back, and it looks like it could be curtains for him today. But Ben Simpson back in the group. But John O'Bates, we had Cook, we had Robert Walsh, we had all the big names, Hickey going off the front. This could be a fun race, Wes.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting now. We see that fireworks happen and Ben Simpson getting caught out there a little bit. I don't know whether he's trying to play that conserving energy role. He does like to sit a little bit further back and he does move up when he needs to, but it sort of got him a little bit off guard there. So he had to use a few biscuits there to get back on. So up to that 9 to 10 watts a kilo to come back.
That is the danger of sitting at the back of the pack. Once that attack goes, you've got more ground to cover, meaning also you got more riders in between you that can let up that gap, which means you're going to get dropped even further behind. So you got to choose the right moments to be at the back, to be in the middle, and to be off the front. Almost halfway through the race, Robert Walsh has eaten a biscuit already, so to say, by Wes Salzberger. We'll see how many biscuits are left in that bag.
Yeah, I reckon he's got a pretty deep jar there. I reckon he'll be digging around there and find some really nice big triple-decker biscuits. He's gonna lay them all on the line, I reckon, Roop.
But he could get caught with a hand in the cookie jar, man. It could be. It's a difficult task, this, you know. It's not that easy to break Ben Simpson and Richard Cook.
No, they are really strong riders, but he's in there with a shot. Maybe if John O'Bates gets in there in the move with him, Jono would be very keen to work, I reckon, just to get up there and in amongst it. He looks like he's really enjoying this racing.
We'll see who's going to take all the Vegemite at the end of the day. There is still another 16 kilometers to go of racing here in the Western eCrit as they enter the steamy hot volcano once again. But we'll see who's applied that suntan and will come through on the other side without a burn. Robert Walsh once again to the front.
Yeah, and Hickey went with Walsh that other time. So Hickey may be keen to move up on those points. He's in 4th spot overall, so he want to jump up and get those points. So he'd be interested in some sort of move. So he'd be one to work with Rupert Walsh. It'd be interesting combo to see who...
One second, man. Audio caught 1 second. 16 all over again with Shimano hitting riders left and right. And we're in that disastrous zone of trying to figure out the mechanicals with the least amount of carnage in between. I do apologize on behalf of Zwift Community Live and the production crew, as it looks like we do have some technical hiccups on our end, and we're trying to make the best of it as we're broadcasting. I'm just glad it happened primarily in this race and not the East race, because this is going on Zwift Community Live, which is our test playground Not on the Go Swift Facebook page, as we're on board with Hickey at the back at 7 watts per kilo. Man, I'm starting to sweat
So we
up
have
too now, Wes. I'm starting to get hot here with all the technicals in the working zone.
Yeah, so I reckon Jono Bates is keen to get up the road. I reckon he's keen for that attack. So it'll be interesting to see whether someone's going to go with him. I reckon Jono Bates or Rupert Walsh is going to be the next two to attack for sure.
He's got that nice looking Swift dogma bike out on course, which I do believe you unlock by finishing the Italy challenge. I think it is the mission out there on course. So he's rocking that nice looking bike, great frame, and we'll see. I'm just impressed to see Jono Bates up near the top. It's good to see a rider making that much of an improvement out on course now as they're going up the incline, and Jono pops the featherweight, but Ben Simpson kicking up into 8 watts per kilogram near the top, trying to react to the attacks out on course. This time, Wes, he's not going to be caught off guard.
No, he's stretching the legs here and really making the others work. You're looking to start to scramble here a little bit. There's some gaps opening up now, so it'd be interesting to see whether he wants to go on with it and who comes across. It'd be interesting also to see who goes over the top of him now. That would be the move if you have the legs to go over the top.
That would be the move, and Rupert Walsh is the one that has the legs, 9 watts per kilogram. This is the attack. He's trying to catch on to the Canadian in front of him as we're looking over the shoulder, but it's Hickey who's bridging the gap.
Michael Hickey, and he's dragged the bunch up there with him, has he? And he's going to go straight round the end of his power up there, looks of it there.
Straight around underneath the start-finish banner, and we have 4 fast flying laps to go now. 4 laps to go. Another 15 kilometers out on course. We've got Ben Simpson, we've got Ciano, Jono Bates, Richard Cook, we've got Mr. Hickey out here as well. A bunch of strong guys. Rupert Walsh, let's not forget, in this group. Power's being popped left, right, and center. And we'll see who has baked enough cookies to finish this one off as we get closer to the finish line. But again now, we're reaching that point, Wes, where they're going to start to look around and assess the situation.
Yeah, they're going to have to work out whether that they keep going with these punching attacks or whether they save that little bit those attacks for a little bit later in the race. Now we're at that 4 laps to go, so it's still a decent amount left in this race. So don't want to use too much up too early, but you want to cover those moves that are going.
Yeah, Ben Simpson sitting at the front, 4 watts per kilo, now down to 3. We know that his heart rate, his working heart rate is about 185. He's got it down to 170, and it is declining. So he's in that recovery zone now, trying to get his breath back in there, get control of it. He's doing a great job so far now, sitting at the back. We've got Walsh, Simpson, Cook, Ciano, and it looks like, is that Jono Bates on the front? It is none other than Jono Bates taking up the
Jono Bates stepping it up, Jono Bates. That's awesome to see that he's getting right in there amongst it. And I do expect that why this little lull happens here, that Jono Bates is probably conserving all his energy, ready to go with that next move, who probably most likely will be Rupert Walsh to go again.
Most likely Rupert Walsh. Timing it correctly with an arrow power up, feather power up, and he's gonna go. Where on this course would you say the prime time is to attack if you want to try and cheat the sprinters?
Well, yeah, over that finish line, we're seeing a lot of people go up that final climb to that finish line, and that's sort of that horrible sort of gradient that keeps creeping up just that 5%, and it doesn't let up. And when you get over the top, you've really got to keep pushing on with that move. And that's where, if you don't have someone with you, that vital area there is just to have someone come over the top of you and take that turn of pace, because it's really hard to push through that attack and then to go on with it on your own in solo is a tough move.
But see, I personally find that everyone is ready for that attack. Everyone knows that incline is coming. Therefore, everyone is going to follow you naturally. That's why if I were to attack, which, let's say I'm not at any ability to follow Ben Simpson, these guys, not yet in my professional career. But if I were to attack, I would choose a less opportune time to maybe catch somebody off guard. Like we saw that utilized in the eCrit series, in the Eastern eCrit earlier today. Just at a random part of the course, bam, off they went, the group snapped. It's more not only being prepared physically, but also mentally, Wes.
And it was a good, actually a really good time would be go after the climb just here. And I'm pretty sure that's where it went last time when it sort of split open just after the actual main climb. The fireworks that went down, everyone's legs were a little bit dead and they started to get that lactic build up. And just as it stretched out over this rolling sort of uphill here, that move sort of went. It wasn't really even a move. It's just a drop of the wheels. People let the wheel go in front of them. Next minute, there's that gap, and then they just started to press on with it.
Yeah. And that's where you got to be ready for it. You got to be ready for it. And that's why I would say if you were to attack, that is one of the opportune times to attack because it's going downhill. And we all know once you start feeling the ease in the gradient, you kind of stop pedaling a tiny bit. You're like, oh, finally, I can rest up. But that's when somebody changes that down a few gears and gets ready just to give it everything. And that's what they did. They went off the front. They won 1, 2, 3 finish, I believe it was, for the WP task team. So they got that one just right earlier today, out on course.
Yeah, they had 4 guys in that main group that went away, so they were really strengthened numbers. So we haven't quite got the numbers here in this race for the teams, but that makes it even more interesting, though. So we do have Simpson and Cook here that are on the same team, but they're going to obviously do a little bit of mates sort of helping each other out, but they're not actually working as teams. So it's very open in this race. We have guys like Jono Bates who's stepping it up and getting in amongst this and sort of creating a little bit of fire and action there. So it's really good to have that variety here.
And here we go. We're going up that incline once again. Ben Simpson on the right. We've got Richard Cook on the left. And in the middle, we've got none other than Rupert Walsh. But it looks like everyone is going to take this one with a bit of a controlled pace over near the top. But the continuation after the top, as you mentioned earlier, that's what really matters. You've got to keep the watts up for another 10, 15 seconds while everyone is still trying to assess the situation out on course.
Yeah, and you don't want to get too far drifted back here on this hill because like you said, everyone is expecting that attack to go, but you've still got to be up in that top sort of 2 to 3 guys, because this group actually has culled down a fair bit now. So there's not many guys left in there. So people are going to let those gaps go. So you don't want to get on a bung wheel that just hooks you backwards here.
Yeah, you don't want to get stuck in. That's really all that matters in Zwift racing. You want to choose the right wheel, and you never want to let go of that draft. Because once you let go of the group, there's no coming back unless you're Ben Hill and you're super duper awesomely strong. So
yeah, you've got to be strong. Got to be strong to come back. And then a rider like Ben Hill, that would be curtains for a lot of people. And then if they did make it back on, then they definitely wouldn't be trying to win at the end of the race. So that just shows the strength that the races that we have here in this eCrit series. It's really, Ben Hill's going off to race Qinghai Lake in 3 weeks' time, and he actually has a broken collarbone at the moment, so he's just getting back into it. So people are using Zwift, for all these different reasons, and it's a really good community to have, those pro riders come in and use this and race against, your average weekend warrior. So that's really cool that there's a good. It's really cool that there's a good mix in there.
Do you remember last week, Ryan McNally, who finished second in the sprint behind Ben Hill? He has actually broken his hand. He's racing with a broken hand. He put down all that power one-handed.
One-handed. So which hand is it? Is it his right hand for changing gears as well?
I have no idea. Yeah. I would assume it'd be the left hand, because otherwise, how would you change gears?
Yeah, well, unless he had his if he has his friend or someone there changing gears for him.
Oh God, do that for an hour. You should pay your friend good money to do that. I mean, technically, if you had your hand in a cast, you can kind of let the left finger go.
Yeah, you could still move it, but it definitely wouldn't be comfortable. So that's pretty impressive that someone, Ben Hill's got a broken collarbone, second place has got a broken hand. That must be a little bit demoralizing for the person to come in third place there. Two broken guys and
chaser of the cycling industry. That's what you got right there.
It's how people get involved, but it's funny that people still continue to use Zwift even after that injuries. Gets them in there, gets them hooked. We've all heard the story of Matt Heyman, how people, how he's come back, from that injury and broken wrist. You're out of racing, comes back, wins Paris-Roubaix. So that's the ultimate thing for Zwift. And here we see Jono Bates going to the front here again. Now he's starting to lift it here, just testing the legs. Yeah, he's just doing a little dummy there just to see who's watching. And we were watching there, Jono.
We were watching indeed. We're seeing this a lot in the Western eCrit. Those little shimmies, little fakes. Ben Simpson did it last week. and this time it's John O'Bates. And man, oh man, I know casters shouldn't be biased towards one side, but the fairy tale, the underdog story, that is John O'Bates. I'm certain that all the viewers out there, including myself and Wes Salzberger, would love to see Jono take this one, but it's a tough
Oh,
task at
Jono.
hand.
Jono would have a tough task at hand, but he certainly is the underdog in this bunch. But we have guys like Rupert Walsh, that probably would be the first person I would guess to counter and make that move across if Jono got away. But that could play into Jono's hands to finish up on the podium is a pretty big deal as well. So
Massive
if
deal.
you can't get that top step, Jono, then go after those next two. But always go for that top step. Never underrate yourself. The power of the mind.
3 laps to go, Wes. 3 laps to go out on course. It's still very much together. We've had one attack from Hickey and Walsh, and that's about it. Now they're starting to look around, and I would expect another attack to come with 2 laps to go. And if that attack is nullified, I think we're looking at a sprint. But Cook has not gone yet. Simpson has not gone yet. We'll see how they're feeling going into the sprint. I mean, the Cook has got to be cooking something now, as he's been sitting in for quite a while.
Yeah, I can see his apron on there. He's cooking up a storm, so I reckon he'll be sitting in pretty ready for this last lap. I reckon we'll see Cook probably unleash. He may cover something that's threatening, but I don't reckon we'll see him. I reckon he'll save everything to the end. He was very strong finish the other week, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
I think we need a cliche jar, because right about now that jar will be filled to the top with aprons and with cookie jars and everything. So sincerely do apologize for the absurd amount of cliches, but I am loving the wordplay going on right now. This is quality banter, as they would say right here in the UK. Wes, this is great as we're watching Cook at the back of the affairs.
Yeah, I usually get a fair few eye rolls. Almost just sort of bordering on dad jokes there. I'm definitely a qualified dad joker. So, yeah, we've got that down pat. I'm training you up, Jasper, for when you have a son, you have those dad jokes nailed.
Oh, God. I heard you had a delivery very recently.
Yeah, we had a little girl, Zoe. So she's got a very nice short first name because she's going to have to spell her last name the rest of her life. So same with our son as well. We just named him Max. So it's just 3 letters for each of them, and then they've got to spell their last long name.
Well, congratulations on that. Maybe a future Women's Giro d'Italia winner in the making, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe, or a tennis player or golf. There's a lot more money in that. So, but
Forget you ever
at the end
heard
of the
that.
day,
Don't forget you ever heard that, guys.
no, at the end of the day, we've already got Maxie on the bike. He's on the balance bike, scooting around doing laps of the house. So yeah,
That is
it's
awesome, Wes.
they'll be into cycling.
Rupert Walsh, definitely into cycling. Crossing under the banner now with 2 laps to go out on course. The penultimate lap. I also just realized I did not do the bell swinging earlier today.
But I was also going to say you didn't do your homework. Your homework was to get a bell.
Oh, I should have gotten a bell. No. Oh, next week.
I'm gonna have to go out to the garage and get my son's little balance bike. It's got a bell on it, and we can ding that.
All the water
That's
being consumed.
Sorry, mate. That's pathetic. I'm gonna give it on the cup of tea. That's as close as we're gonna get.
Oh my God, where's the fat lady when you need her? We need to get this over with.
Oh, hold on, there we go.
That's much better. But the thing is, we're doing this way too early. There's another lap to go after this, so.
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
a bad
Sorry, don't
omen.
take note of that. Don't take note of that bell. We're just testing the bell. That was a little sneaky preem there for John O'Bates. So go for that preem. No, conserve it, Jono. Hold it back and get yourself set because there will be some fireworks. It'll be interesting to see who's going to take that attack. And it's got to come, I reckon, after that climb. So when someone's obviously going to go up that climb, how you said expect it up to the... Oh, John O'Bates is going for it or not?
You saw that. He went for it. He was out of the saddle, 6 watts per kilo. But again, it's another one of those little catch me if you can moments.
Yeah, a little shakedown, and there was a bit of a reaction there. They did start to follow that. Japanese rider coming over the top of him there. Azuma is going over the top of him. So Jono's just sitting in there pretty now.
Man, this race eCrit is just straight fire. It's been so good. This is the 9th edition. 9 weeks in a row, eCrit has been going on, and we're seeing bigger and bigger participation and rider numbers out on course. And the competition, the playing field is getting stronger and stronger. And I can't wait to meet you all and see you all race in the live finale in September in Melbourne on September 19th. So you've got until September the 12th to race the eCrit. So get on, get going, and start gaining points today. And maybe, just maybe, you can be part of the fun, ringing teacups, not having a dry eye in sight. Oh, God.
That's it. We can give it the ring-a-ding-ding. We'll most likely we'll have a proper cowbell there at the race in
Hope
Melbourne.
not. Should have two teacups, one of each side going. Ding, ding, ding.
Whatever works. We've got Simpson up there now, looking pretty. So he's keeping his eye on the front there, making sure that Walsh doesn't do a flyer. So he'd probably be the main guy that Simpson would be looking for to make sure. And Cook also would be looking for to make sure that he doesn't do a flyer there and get that gap.
I just spotted Richard Gills out on course. He's actually 1 lap down. It must be the flu that's going around. Gills, strong rider, 1 lap down.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier also in the East crit. We've got a bit of man flu going around at the moment. So, you can have the general bit of a flu and the cold, but when you have that man flu, then, yep, you have those situations where you do take that lap down and you just don't have that power. That man flu is just really hits you hard.
It's funny how it always hits at like a certain point in the season, and it hits everyone. It's not like one guy goes out and he's like, oh, I've got the man flu. It's like domino. You've got Anthony Vegan Porsche, bam. Nazi, bam. Richard Gills, bam. And it's just like freaking effect all the way down there. It's incredible to see how that sort of affects a racing peloton like this.
Yeah, it does have a bit of a domino effect, but that does open up to those guys that are in that middle mark. They're under the radar a little bit. We've got those Jono Bates and guys like Rupert Walsh that aren't quite up there, right up on the points, and just coming in and making their opportunity with that. With those guys knocked out, then you have that opportunity.
About a kilometer to go until it's time to ring that cup of tea now. As they're heading
I'm
left
ready.
in a second.
I've got my pen, I got my cup of tea. Oh, just test. Sorry, that's not the bell yet.
Misfire right there. Somebody fired the gun way too soon now. But here we go. Up the incline, the penultimate time. This is the time to attack, though. Second time around now, that would be the finish line. So if you want to use this incline for an attack, now is the moment. As everyone is looking around, eyes are on Rupert Walsh and Ben Simpson. John O'Bates also looking good. He is one of the heavier riders in this pack, though. As he comes over the top, and the watts are starting to flatten out now. As he's popping that featherweight just over the top now. He's looking good, though. Looking further back, we got Hickey. We got... Where is Rupert Walsh? We got...
I think he was on the back there, I think.
He's just on the back. He's making up the back end, the tail end of this group, but he's in here still.
Yep. Yeah, no, maybe he's just sussing it out there. He's keeping his eye over probably Cook and Simpson there, just making sure that he can keep an eye on everything. Jono Bates is still in there. He used that little bit of a power up to save the legs there. So hopefully he gets another one through this finish line, and hopefully it's a nice aero one for him so he can take that flyer.
Mr. West Salzburger, are you ready?
I'm ready. Here we go.
2, 1. 1 lap to go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. 4 kilometers, 4.2 kilometers left. This is everything, guys. This is where you've got to throw in all your marbles now, because you've got to... There's no looking back now. You've done the work. You've done your homework. Now it's all about getting that grade. Will it be top end, or will you bunk? Let's see what's going to happen now.
Yeah, Roop's up there following Sicano there. Sicano's up there, and it'd be interesting to see whether he does a fly here. Sort of Ben Simpson's right up there on the wheel too, and surely we'll have Cook there as well. So they're all looking at each other here, seeing who's going to go away. There's a little bit of a gap there now.
We've got a little bit of a gap, but those are not Australians near the front. So we got the front Australian right now is A Kiss, who is sitting in the front at 5 watts per kilogram. On his wheel, we got Cook, then we got Bates, and we got Simpson, Walsh, and Ciano. You got a wall of Australians out here. Everyone just lining up next to each other, covering each other out on course, with Ben Simpson making up the rear end now, as we've got 3 kilometers to go now in the 9th edition of the Western eCrit. And this is where it all comes down to. Rupert Walsh not really feeling it, he said prior to this, was in the front group. Ben Simpson said he had killer legs. We'll see how this is going to go down now. All that's missing is one of Wesley Salzberger's soundtracks from the old days to make this even better out on course.
Yeah, I did share a little bit of music with Jasper earlier. I sent him a few bit of Aussie hip hop beats, some Limp Bizkit even. Just give him a little bit of a knowledge there of the background of music I listen to.
Rolling,
but now we have
rolling.
John. Keep on rolling. They've got to keep rolling here. That A Kiss is in there as well. I just looked through and I didn't see A Kiss in the Zwift power on any points at all. So he's got nothing to lose here and really could have a bit of a dig here. It'd be interesting to see whether he has something in the legs. And that could be a bit of a leapfrog for the other riders to play off that.
Let's not forget Hickey, though. Hickey has looked strong today. And he's one of the riders who had he had the ability to counterattack Robert Walsh and then go past him. So if we come down to a sprint, I would expect him to have a bit of a kick, a bit of a punch in that bag. So we'll see now. We've got 2 kilometers left of racing now, halfway through this final lap inside the volcano. No one yet to go off the front, but the pace is through the roof. Ciano West is sitting at 196 beats per minute. Wow.
Ooh, he's really pushing it there. 196. That's getting up there, isn't it? So everyone's really putting in here on this last part of the race. They're at their limit here. That everyone's up around that point here. No one can really attack at this stage. And if they do, they're going to need that power up.
Got Richard Cook sitting in second now. Speaking of power-ups, if you got that featherweight, if you got an aero power-up, we saw Ockerby win with the aero power-up. It was essential to his attempt at that finish line, to his quest, to his conquer. He did everything just right with that aero power-up. So you can count yourself lucky if you do have one. We've not seen power-ups being thrown down for quite a while now. So you would expect Bates, Simpson, Cook to be, they are keeping that aero power-up in the back pocket.
Yeah, we haven't seen any power-ups being used, so maybe they've got those aero power-ups and that power-up they're looking for. So, whether Hickey times it right there and Hickey gets tricky and uses his power-up right at the right moment, Rupert Walsh is most likely, I would say, going to go early. Jono Bates is going to take a flyer. I can guarantee Jono Bates is going to take a flyer.
He has got to do it now, though, because we're within the final kilometer now. They're going to go straight. They're going to go left. And with 700 meters to go, that's when they hit the incline. And it's just around this corner now. Every single Australian racer, every single Aussie is up near the front here at the pointy end of affairs. And we'll see who's the first one to launch the ball now. As Ben Simpson sitting third wheel. You got A Kiss 1 second up the front now. Slowly getting away now. And here comes Ciano. 8 watts per kilogram bridging across. He's sitting at 200 beats per minute. He is blasting everything he's got.
Wowzers. 200 beats a minute, bloody hell.
202.
Hopefully he can carry. How can he keep going on with this? Oh, we've got another move there. That's not an Australian though, is it?
No, it's not. We got A Kiss though, second wheel, Ciano up there, Walsh in third. It's gonna be a long sprint here in the Western eCrit. Ciano still at 203. Did he go too early now with Walsh and Kiss on his wheel, Wes?
Here goes Walsh. Walsh looks like he's in a good position here. We'll see another aero power up there. Walsh has hit that power up now. Here he goes to the line. This is going to be interesting to see whether he can hold on here. Looks like he's going to hold on. He's absolutely streaky now, stomping on those pedals.
Jono Bates for the long run. He is making up ground. It's 1. It's 2. Can he get the third one on the line? It is Walsh versus Bates all the way. It's going to be close. Go, Jono. Go.
Come on, Jono, go.
He's going to do it.
Come on, go. He's going to do it. Come on.
Just nicked it. Just got nicked on the line. Jono Bates, hats off. Wow.
Wowzers. Awesome work. That's awesome. That was a great finish. Jeez. It was just legs going everywhere in there. I'm sure they've just absolutely exploded in a wall of lactate right now. You can see the riders just stopping dead now, not even pedaling it out. So we see the rider almost fall off there. Oh, that's some solid effort there. That's awesome.
Jono Bates with the performance of the week. Usually the Eastern eCrit outperforms the West, but tonight the Western eCrit shines the brightest. Jono Bates, Rupert Walsh, Ben Simpson, Ciano, Kiss, everyone included, Hickey. Thank you so much for making tonight the best race there was. Wesley Salzberger, you didn't get an honor. You didn't get the chance of signing off from the Eastern. I will give you your proper right to sign off in the right way here in the Western eCrit. Stage is yours.
All right. Thanks very much, Jesper. Everyone, I'd said this in the last one as well. Just if you'd like to tweet or message on Facebook your setup, so take a picture of that sweaty setup in your garage or wherever you're set up. Take a picture and send it in. We had some other guys do that from the last race. But everyone here at Zwift, we'd like to say thanks very much for coming along. Awesome effort. John O'Bates, you're a legend, and we'll see